Think back to when you were a kid and a person in authority told you some rule or policy and it didn't make sense. So what would you do? You'd ask questions about those rules, and you were kind of feeling around for the substance behind the rule. It's a normal thing. We all do it, and we all do it from an early age. We want to know why we have to do X, Y, and Z. Now, 99% of the time, most adults would take the time to answer you thoughtfully, carefully. Even though adults are naturally in a position of authority over kids, they understand that a rule given without any kind of substantiation is a rule that lacks gravitas or authority. And why is that? Because the best rules or policies have solid explanations. So in other words, they're based in truth and fact, and it's easy to substantiate them. It's easy to prove them. These laws, these kinds of laws or rules or policies, they have really, they make sense to people. Like, for example, don't drink and drive. Everybody knows this rule, right? You don't drink and drive because you're not at your best when you're 7 beers in, super dangerous to yourself, super dangerous to other people. It's bad all around. It makes sense, right? The data supports the fact that drinking and driving is hazardous to health. You don't have to be convinced of the need of laws that necessitate, we all vote on them, we all talk about it. That's that quasi-social contract that we have. It's necessary. Society doesn't resist it because it makes common sense and you want people to be safe on the roads. Lately, though, it seems like our institutions just make them up as they go. They don't really seem to care if you understand the why behind these policies and rules. This is particularly true of coronavirus policy. Well, one idea that some people are having is to add a special tax to the unvaccinated. That's right, tax the unvaxxed. They want you to pay for not being vaccinated because they argue you're a special burden on the system. From the article in Washington Monthly, and I quote, "Policymakers and employers have radically shifted their treatment of vaccine holdouts in recent days. Carrots like $1 million prizes, college scholarships are giving way to sticks and cudgels with vaccine mandates. For government workers, and proof of vaccination is soon to be required for activities like indoor dining. They said that this is going to be increasingly inconvenient life for the unvaccinated, and it should also become increasingly expensive." And then the article goes on to advocate for a whole bunch of special taxes and levies and fees for the unvaccinated, flying, for sports, for your kids in school even, hospital fees, surcharges, etc. They want to make you pay for your private health choice. And now why are you going to have to pay more tax? Because show us the data that the unvaccinated are costing the system. And by the way, what about, if you want to talk about having a burden on the system, let's talk about the people out there who don't pay their fair share of taxes. I paid 6 figures in taxes last year, so I'm not going to be lectured by someone whose highest level of knowledge about medicine is just working in the journalism field, because we know what a successful gaslighting operation that is. And I'm not going to take lectures or any kind of condemnation for someone who isn't a medical professional, particularly someone who thinks that it's better to go out and shame people who are unvaccinated than ask the government agencies that we have paid for. All 21,000 employees of the CDC we have paid for. How is it that we don't have any more information than we already have right now? We're still in the dark. We're at square one. We're still in the same place that we were with knowledge about this a year ago. We all pay taxes. Where's the return on my investment? Before some person gets all high and mighty up on their white horse on the East Coast, up on their high horse on the East Coast, maybe they need to stop and ask, as members of the press, where's the return on the investment of the tax dollars already paid? Right? Where is that return? Because right now I'm being burdened with pain for a too large government that's not giving me enough information about things that they believe that they have the right to mandate I be injected with. So that's the burden that I'm dealing with. I'm also dealing with fake know-it-alls who write things in Washington Monthly about how people who already pay too much tax, they pay their fair share and everyone else's fair share, about how apparently their desire to know a little bit more about what they're injecting themselves with is somehow a burden on them. The stupidity and arrogance of certain reporters, as the one I just cited here, is the burden on society. Now, how about the unvaccinated pay disproportionately higher taxes to begin with, right? It's possible. Show us the data, right? Show us that these people are not paying their fair share. This is just bullying, shaming, dividing, all of it. And by the way, since Black and Latino Americans, these are the populations with the highest percentages of unvaccinated people, and they have very legitimate reasons. So do I get to do what the left does? You're discriminating now against minority citizens. Imagine the optics on that. I can't wait to watch how Bill de Blasio is going to explain turning all these Black patrons away from restaurants in New York City, or adding special taxes to people's dinner bills for being unvaxxed. So we just need to have like a pop-up Joe Biden scream Jim Crow or Jim Eagle now, because that's exactly what this is. Think it through. I know it's really hard for the double masker, triple vaxxers, 6 feet of masks to like process this. Pull down the mask, oxygenate the brain. Think about what I just said. You think you're discriminating against the whole MAGA crowd, right? Trump voters, but you're actually discriminating against the people that you fake care about. And that's because you don't care about them. You just use them. And that's why they always are the ones that get the shortest end of the stick with your policies. And by the way, more minorities are figuring this out by every day. So thank you for revealing how the Democrat Party's always been on the wrong side of history. This is going to look really great for all those midterm ads in 2022 and particularly in 2024, because with idiotic and very divisive and quite frankly racist policies like these, you're creating the greatest coalition of people since the revolution. And they all have one thing in common. They despise tyranny. They will not tolerate it. It's not too late. There's a way to manage this pandemic and maybe try to claw back some of the trust of the American people. First off, you can start answering our questions. We pay you. So pay me. I want what I paid for. I want answers. Show some humility. The American people would understand and sympathize maybe if you did, although I might be past that. It's a pandemic. It's caused by a virus that's maybe, I don't know, seems like it might be engineered in a lab by a foreign enemy hell-bent on world dominance. It's like nothing that we've ever faced before, ever. Of course, there's going to be missteps and confusion and sometimes contradictions because it's unprecedented. So just admit what you don't know. Admit what you got wrong. Arm people with information. Let them exercise their free will, because after all, blaming and shaming, those are the tactics of thugs and communist regimes. It's not the behavior or tactics of anyone in this republic with our democratic process that we call America.